Alignment is our natural state. Alignment is our natural state. So many of us are chasing the idea of being aligned, having freedom and flow in our lives. I have to be aligned. I have to be aligned with what I want to get what I want. I have to be aligned. But alignment is actually our natural state. Now, it may not be our normal state, depending on how we've been living our lives. We may be using dominant behavior patterns that involve people pleasing or doing things to be liked or doing things because other people think it's the right thing, but we know deep down it's not. Alignment is our natural state. It's when we, as humans, get all this noise in the universe about how to be, what's true, what isn't true, what's okay, what's not okay. And where do we get this from? We get this from other people. We get this from outside of ourselves. We get this from the news. We get it from our friends, from our family, from our parents, from somebody at the grocery store. It's all over the place. When we start to live in alignment with what our inner voice tells us, with what our inner knowing, our gut tells us, that is our natural state. Now, it may not be easy because if we've been living a certain way that is not in alignment and we've been doing so for years or maybe even decades, it's going to feel very uncomfortable to start doing the aligned thing. And in fact, sometimes the aligned thing, the thing that feels right within our hearts, can be very uncomfortable because it might involve telling somebody we care about that we need to move on and change our relationship. It may involve somebody we care about telling them something they don't want to hear. It may involve moving away from family and friends. And we don't want to hurt other people, and we think it's going to hurt other people. So we find those things hard to do. So what do? We do the easy thing a lot of the time. And as a result, we are living out of alignment with our truth. We know in our hearts we're called to do one thing. And as crazy as it may sound, that's what we're meant to do. And everybody around us tells us we're nuts. They make fun of us. They say, oh, that'll never work. Why would you do that? And so we say, you know what? You're right. That's crazy. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow my calling. Why would I do that? You're right. I'm going to play it safe. That's what everybody does. The tried and true path, right? That's the right path, the tried and true path. But what happens? We're not happy. We're just not happy because we're out of alignment. So then we think, well, maybe I will change paths. And we start to think about it, and then it becomes really, really scary to make the changes we know we need to make. Holy smokes, can they be scary? I personally moved halfway across the country to do something I knew was right in my heart to move from Winnipeg, Canada to Vancouver, Canada, which is on the West Coast. And I know that it is one of the best things I've ever done for my entire life. My family didn't understand it. My friends didn't understand it. I didn't know a soul when I moved here. And yet I knew it was where I meant to be. I literally felt a pull to come to Vancouver in my teens. I felt it. And then again I visited in my 20s and I felt it again. And in my 30s, I came back for a visit and I felt it again. And I thought, if I don't do this, I will wonder for the rest of my life what could have been. And I wasn't prepared to live that way. I had to know. I had to know what was in store for me in Vancouver and why I was meant to be here. And of course, I'm here. My story's not over, but I can tell you that it's changed my life in ways that I doubt would have seriously changed if I stayed in Winnipeg. I have a whole new career. I've gone from accounting to being a transformational coach, speaker, and an author. I have a totally different group of friends. I've had incredible new experiences that Vancouver has to offer, and I've traveled to Europe in ways that I haven't wouldn't have been able to travel if I had stayed in Winnipeg. And life has been really, really amazing. And it's all because I followed a calling. I followed a calling that started in my teens when I came to Vancouver and the surrounding area for sports. I knew that I would in someday live in Vancouver. I just knew. I was 12 years old. I had no idea why I knew, but I knew. And I in my 20s, I came for a visit for 3 months when I was training for the national team. And the national coach was out here in Vancouver, and I stayed for 3 months and I couldn't get a job. So I decided, well, that's no good. I need a job. You can't live the life I want to live without a job. So I went back home, I finished school, and I promised myself that when I would finish my education, that I would come back. And I did. I became a CPA, chartered professional accountant in Canada, and lo and behold, let's see, maybe 3 years after I graduated, the universe presented an opportunity for me to transfer with the accounting firm I was working with. And I moved to Vancouver. I took the train, which was a lovely, amazing experience. Took the train from Winnipeg, Canada, out to the beautiful West Coast, and I changed my life. And like I said, I don't know why. I have no idea why at the time, but as life continues to unfold, and it's opened many, many doors, me being here, I understand that I couldn't have had this life if I was in Winnipeg. The opportunities don't really exist in Winnipeg that exist here. There's different people, there's different attitudes, there is a different way of being. And I also needed some space from my family because it gave me the space to discover who I was. I have an incredibly loving family, and I will always be grateful for them. Always. And they have a view of life that is quite different than mine. So it's had been difficult for me to fully express that part of myself being so close to home. And I think that was a large part of the reason I left, although I didn't know it at the time. So I encourage you to remember, as you're thinking about alignment being our natural state, that doing the thing that's aligned isn't always the easy thing. And it's uncomfortable as you're doing it, or it may be. But consider this. Is the status quo even more uncomfortable? Listen to your gut. Listen to what your inner knowing, that pit of your stomach is telling you. Because it may feel warm and fuzzy and easy to keep doing the same thing over and over again, but deep down, you'll know. You'll know. There's a very quiet voice. It's a quiet, quiet voice that says, you know exactly what to do. And in fact, the ego voice is the voice that's louder, the voice that's fighting for the status quo. It says, oh no, you want to stay right where you are. Don't hurt your family or your friends. You don't want to change. That's too hard. But that quiet inner voice, super, super gentle, because there's no judgment. And it says, Catherine, you know you want something different. You know it's going to bother you if you don't change. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but you're going to be okay. Come on, you know what you need to do. It's a very gentle voice and persistent that stayed with me for approximately 20 years. And I continue to listen to that voice today as I continue to shape my life. My name's Catherine, and I help people feel whole. I help people feel whole within themselves and within the world. I help them remember who they are. If you've liked this video, please drop me a follow, and I will see you next time.